The wedding invitation sat unopened on her kitchen counter for 3 whole days before she finally tore it open. Sienna Blake's hands trembled as she unfolded the thick white envelope, embossed with gold lettering that read, "You're cordially invited to celebrate the wedding of Jason Carter and Leila Monroe." Her heart dropped. Jason, the man she had spent 5 years with, the man she once thought she'd marry, the man who left her when life got too heavy. And now, he was marrying someone else, less than a year after walking out. She almost laughed through the ache in her chest. Life had a cruel sense of humor. To make things worse, the invitation came with a handwritten note, "Hope you can come, Sienna. It would mean a lot to see you there." He had the audacity to write that, as if attending his wedding would be some kind of healing ritual. But Sienna didn't want to be pitied. She wanted to prove, to herself, and maybe to him, that she was fine, that she'd moved on. The only problem was she hadn't. Not really. So when her friend suggested she shouldn't go alone, Sienna laughed it off. But later that night, scrolling through her phone with tears stinging her eyes, she saw a photo that stopped her. A picture of Eli Turner, a single dad from her neighborhood, smiling with his 7-year-old daughter in the park. Eli had been her daughter Lily's soccer coach for 2 years. He was kind, grounded, and had that quiet strength of someone who'd weathered more storms than he ever spoke about. The next morning, she did something bold. She walked up to him after practice and said, "Eli, I have a crazy favor to ask. If you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Journal. Your support helps us spread more stories that touch hearts and change lives." Eli listened, slightly amused, as she stumbled through the story about her ex's wedding and how she didn't want to show up alone. "You want me to be your fake date?" he asked, raising an eyebrow, though there was no judgment in his voice. Sienna nodded, feeling her face heat up. "I know it sounds ridiculous. You can say no. I just don't want to walk in there looking broken." Eli smiled softly. "Sienna, I don't think you've ever looked broken. Just human." Something about the way he said it disarmed her. He didn't hesitate. "All right," he finally said. "I'll be your date." And just like that, a strange sense of calm washed over her. She wasn't sure why, maybe because Eli had that kind of presence. Steady, reassuring, like sunlight through clouds after a storm. In the days leading up to the wedding, Sienna found herself noticing things she'd never paid attention to before. The way Eli always listened with genuine interest, how he treated his daughter like she was the most important person in the world, and the quiet, deep laugh that always made Lily giggle. He wasn't flashy or loud. He was solid, safe, real. The morning of the wedding arrived bright and warm. Sunlight spilled across her living room as Sienna stood before the mirror in a soft blush dress, smoothing out invisible wrinkles. For the first time in a long while, she felt beautiful. Nervous, but beautiful. When Eli arrived to pick her up, dressed in a crisp white shirt and a gray vest, holding a small bouquet of tulips, she forgot how to breathe for a moment. "You look incredible," he said simply, his gaze kind but lingering, as if seeing her in a way no one had for years. The venue was a glass-roofed garden overlooking the city. Laughter, music, and perfume filled the air. Jason spotted her from across the room, surprise flashing in his eyes before he smiled too widely, too forced. "Sienna, you came." Eli's hand found hers in a subtle, protective gesture. "Of course she did," he said warmly. She wouldn't miss it. It wasn't a possessive touch, it was grounding. For the first time, Sienna didn't feel small under Jason's gaze. She felt seen. Throughout the ceremony, she stole glances at Eli. He laughed with the guests, made conversation easily, and when he caught her staring, he winked. Somehow, amidst the glittering lights and shallow smiles, he made her forget she was there to prove something. After dinner, as couples began to dance, Jason's mother approached Sienna with a bittersweet smile. "You look lovely, dear. I always told Jason he'd made a mistake letting you go." Her words caught Sienna off guard. Mistake. The same word Jason had used to describe her, except he meant their relationship. Sienna excused herself and walked outside, toward the garden fountain. The evening air was cool, the city glowing beneath the setting sun. She finally let herself breathe. That's when Eli found her. "You okay?" She nodded, though her eyes were glassy. "I thought coming here would help me move on. But it just reminded me how much I lost." Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something she never expected. Sienna, sometimes the people we lose weren't meant to stay because they'd only keep us small. You didn't lose him. You outgrew what he could give. His words hit her like a wave, gentle but strong enough to break something open inside. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but she wasn't embarrassed. There was no pity in his eyes, only understanding. I used to think losing my wife was the worst thing that ever happened to me, he said softly. But it wasn't, because losing her taught me how to love better, how to be honest, patient and open again. Maybe heartbreak doesn't destroy us, Sienna. Maybe it just makes space for something deeper. She looked up at him, eyes shimmering. Do you really believe that? I do, he said, voice steady. Because standing here with you feels like proof. Something shifted then. The air, the silence, the way he looked at her, it all carried a weight she couldn't ignore. And for the first time since her breakup, Sienna didn't feel broken. She felt free. They didn't kiss that night. Instead, he offered his hand and said, "Come on, let's dance under the stars. Who cares if there's no music?" So they did. In the quiet garden, surrounded by the hum of laughter from inside, Sienna and Ellie swayed slowly, the city lights flickering around them. It wasn't a fairy tale moment. It was better. It was real. When the night ended and Ely walked her to her door, she turned to him and whispered, "Thank you for being here, for helping me remember who I am." Eli smiled, eyes soft. "You didn't need my help, Sienna. You just needed someone to remind you." The next few weeks were filled with something new, a warmth that spread quietly into her life. Eli and his daughter would stop by after soccer practice. They'd cook dinner together, share laughter, stories, and little moments that slowly stitched her heart back together. One afternoon, while watching the kids play in the park, Ely turned to her with a hesitant smile. "You know, I wasn't being completely honest at the wedding." Sienna blinked. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath. "You asked me to pretend to be your date, but somewhere between the drive there and that dance under the stars I stopped pretending." Her heart raced. "Eli," he shook his head gently. "You don't have to say anything, I just wanted you to know." But Sienna did say something. She reached over, took his hand, and whispered, "Then maybe we both stopped pretending." From that day on, something beautiful unfolded, not rushed, not forced, but natural. Two people who'd both known loss found comfort in each other's quiet company. Their bond wasn't built on grand gestures, but on the simple, powerful truth that healing often comes when you least expect it. Months later, while sitting on her porch at sunset, Sienna received another envelope in the mail. This one wasn't from Jason, it was a wedding invitation, but this time it was addressed to Ellie Turner and guest. She smiled, realizing she no longer felt that dull ache inside. The past no longer had power over her. She looked across the yard at Eli, laughing as the kids chased bubbles, sunlight glinting off his hair. In that moment, she finally understood, sometimes heartbreak isn't the end of your story. It's just the chapter that leads you to the right one. 2. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to Kindness Journal for more stories that celebrate love, hope, and second chances. Special request, comment below. Everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. If you believe that love always finds its way back in unexpected ways.